What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Ground Podcast. Here today, interviewing some amazing entrepreneurs here right in the city of Bend. Paul Evers from Crux Fermentation Project and Katie Thomson from Square Baby are both in one interview representing a trade organization here called Cultivate Bend. It's a network of entrepreneurs who are focused on natural CPG products. In other words, products that are better for humans and better for the planet. So I'm really excited to get you into this interview, to get you connected to the purpose behind Cultivate Bend, some very practical ways that you can get involved and benefit from this network yourself. But before we do that, I just want to give you a couple of quick announcements. Number one, the Ground Podcast is made possible by sponsors like the one in this video, Thump Coffee. Thump Coffee, thank you so much for helping us in the form of letting us shoot there on location. Thump has real partnerships with real coffee farmers around the world. They are sourcing their products ethically and sustainably, and it's a fantastic place for you to go and get your favorite brew. Now, they have two cities with locations. One is Bend, Oregon, and the other is Denver, Colorado. They have two here in Bend, and I believe just the one in Denver, but there's plans to be a third and plans to expand even more. So yeah, you need to check them out. Go get yourself a cup of joe. It's a great place with great ambience, a great place to hang out. But we need more sponsorships to keep these episodes going. It's a lot of work, a lot of editing, a lot of production that goes into it. So if you are one of these aforementioned sustainable brands who would love some representation on a publication like this, please email me at jacob@groundpodcasting.com and we will get that conversation started. The next announcement is, I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but the most premium and best way for you to get this podcast in your inbox is going to be through Substack. Substack is an amazing social media app that's really dedicated to just really pure individual-based content like the stuff that you're viewing right now. We have premium episodes and workshops that come out on Ground. And if you become a paid member, you're going to get access to that stuff, but you're also supporting the cause and helping us to sponsor these episodes. So please consider that paid membership. And remember, Ground is not just a podcast, it's also a podcast production house. So we can be the content mill for you. From one 60 to 90 minute session, you're going to end up with just an amazing amount of content that flows from that, say an average of 20 reels or so, just from the one episode, that can go out to your social media channels like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the big hitters, just from that one session. And we produce it all for you and get it into your Google Drive. So yeah, let us know if you're interested in any of that. Again, just email me at jacob@groundpodcasting.com and we'll get that conversation started. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, we've got Katie Thomson from Square Baby and Paul Evers from Crux Fermentation Project here today to talk about Cultivate Bend. Let's jump into it. So, Paul Evers, Katie Thomson here with us on the Ground Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you're here. Here at Thumb Coffee.
I know. My favorite coffee, by the way. They didn't pay me to say that. Did you get paid to say that?
No, I didn't. No, that's good. Excellent.
Yeah, fair trade coffee, relationships with farmers. I mean, come on.
I know.
The vibes are high.
And the owner's name is Bobby. You can't beat that. That was the Pope's nickname, Bobby, when he was a kid growing up playing Little League.
Is that right?
Yeah, Bobby. I mean, who doesn't love a Bobby?
Oh, man. So Cultivate Bend, that's what we're here to talk about today. Both of you guys are on the board there. I just want to hear a little bit, first of all, and I'm sure the audience does too, about what Cultivate Bend does, how it got started. Let's just start there.
I feel like you've got to kick this off.
Okay, I'm going to do my best. We both have our own unique stories of why we're involved with Cultivate Bend, which I think is great. That's really what it's about. But I was, if we're going to go back a little ways to 2018, I was an entrepreneur, co-founder, CEO of a sustainable brand called Riff Cold Brewed. And we were doing a lot of work in the development of a sustainable energy drink that was certified carbon neutral and made from upcycled coffee fruit, which is a traditionally wasted byproduct of the coffee harvest.
Oh,
So I was recruited to become. I was actually recruited to be the chairman of the board of a trade organization that was called the Central Oregon Food and Beverage Cluster. And one of the reasons why I was drawn to that is because they had a part-time paid executive director
Okay.
So I enjoyed that. And so I went through the interview process. They elected me as chairman of the board. And, maybe 6 months after that, the funding actually ran out. We thought there was another year of funding for the executive director. It ran out. And so basically that organization became a skeleton crew of board members that were trying to figure out how do we carry this forward, continued to meet on a monthly basis. We were engaging with people from outside the area that might come in and help us. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And a couple of board members and a couple of us actually continued to meet on a monthly basis because we knew that there was a real need out there, and it was only amplified by COVID. So as a co-founder and CEO of a natural products beverage company,
Yeah.
I was feeling more and more as we're going through COVID, the need to have an organization like this where we can connect people together. We're all working in silos. Those silos have only been amplified and reinforced with, greater barriers between brands to be able to collaborate and problem solve. That's exacerbated by the fact that we're 2.5, 3 hours from the nearest major metro area. So we're isolated over here. And then we're further isolated because we're working in our own little silos, trying to solve these problems that, for the most part, were unsolvable because we didn't know what was happening with COVID, where it was going.
Yeah.
And Riff really was hit hard by COVID in pretty significant ways. So my passion and enthusiasm and in belief in what that organization could become was only reinforced with the painful experience through COVID.
Yeah.
And so we rebranded to be Cultivate Bend and to move outside of just food and beverage and redefine the trade group as being focused on natural products.
Yeah.
And more specifically consumer packaged goods. Like we'll use the acronym CPG. We got to, I think, apologize for all the acronyms because they're just handy. A lot of people don't understand them, but
Yeah.
we're, Cultivate Bend is really focused on supporting the natural products CPG sector throughout Central Oregon. And basically that's consumer products that are packaged, typically available on retail shelves, or it could be a wholesale product of some sort that's distributed to, it could be white labeled, or it could be to large food service operations or anything that's really supporting sustainability.
Yeah.
So the way that you define natural products is utilizing either ingredients or materials that are derived from nature. I like to kind of simplify it and say it's really focused on products that are better for the planet and better for people.
Yeah.
So that we, kept the mission going, even though it was, limping along. And in 2022, had some encouraging conversations with people who really wanted to support this. And we launched it, Cultivate Bend, with a social event that we held at the Haven. And we had about 135 people show up saying, we're really interested in understanding what it is that you're wanting to do in this sector. So,
great. Yeah.
so we're 3.5 years later. We have a board of about 15 people. And a lot of the board members are elected by the membership. We officially formed as a 501c6. The reason for that is there's some advantages and disadvantages, but it's a great platform for a trade organization. One of the things that we can do as a 501c6 is we can lobby. We can lobby at the state, county, and federal level on behalf of the trade organization or that trade group. And we've got about 150 plus members representing a pretty broad spectrum of the kind of the aggregate trade organization. So you have founders, operators, leaders, workers at natural products, CPG brands. Then you have the next adjacent membership group would be support services like accounting, creative services, legal, et cetera. Brokers, retailers, distributors, everybody throughout the supply chain. And then the third group would be economic development, investment interests and things like that, which there's that's all symbiotic
Yeah.
to support the industry.
So, Katie, tell us about how you got connected to Cultivate Bend and what your venture looks like, kind of what the work you're involved with right now.
So I moved my family here sort of abruptly. COVID, one of the COVID movers. Grew up in Portland and have moved around the country a lot with my family. Most previously in the Bay Area, so that's where I launched Square Baby alongside my co-founder. And as we started to have more and more of a remote team and work life, and my husband, who's in advertising, was also going remote, we saw this little window before the world had opened back up to move our family to Bend. And so we literally threw my son's drum set because we needed that. And then at that point, so we got a little, it was like Wally World or Bust, right? We had a little trailer in the back of our car. And then our smoker and our Peloton, because if you're taking a smoker, you should probably take your Peloton. Just the three essentials. And the rest of that, we just moved like we were leaving for 3 weeks. So here we landed in Bend at the beginning of the summer, 2021. And, as a founder, I was worried. Moving from the Bay Area, which is where, you hear about entrepreneurs thriving in that area. And I had doubt about whether this is the right thing to do for our company and for our business. And, but my co-founder and I had great conversations about it. I knew it was the right thing for my family, to be close to the mountains, everything. By the way, I answer questions in a really long format. So if you need to, but I wanted to kind of set the stage, which is like, I knew this is the right thing for me to do personally and for my family, but I was kind of terrified, because now I was even further removing myself from the business community I had developed in the Bay Area. And so coming to Cultivate Bend, the first event, I don't even know how I found out about it. But I showed up, not knowing a soul, and Amy Reynolds, giant shout out. If you know her, you know exactly what I'm talking about, which is just standing at the door, welcoming, knows you're new, knows you'd love a connection, making that introduction. And right away, I sort of felt at home in an environment that would have otherwise could have felt like very networky, which is not my favorite thing to do. I mean, I love talking, I love the authenticity. I don't love the when it feels like work, and right away you could feel all the reasons why you want to move your family to Bend is why you want to move your business to Bend. To be honest, it's the people, it's the the love of just a good life and outdoors and a little bit of balance if you can have it. And all the things that make us healthy are also what I think make a healthy entrepreneur, if that makes sense. And then getting to know Paul, I was pretty locked in when they had openings for their board seats. I think they had 4 or 5 openings, and I was very excited to apply for that and become part of the organization and to help give this as much of the sense of belonging that I had felt walking through those doors. I wanted to be able to offer that as much as possible. So even though I'm still feel so new to Bend after 4.5 years, it's just it's the people. So I love the connecting and the authenticity of the humans.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, and I think that people here just have a mindset of being healthy, and people are wanting to be connected to nature more. And so you guys are kind of working in a sweet spot in terms of the people and their interests here. And I'm sure there's lots of inertia you guys can create with that. It's really amazing. So let's talk about the struggles that you guys may have had as you've been this kind of an entrepreneur, dealt with the specific issues that this kind of an entrepreneur deals with, and how you're helping to address those with people in the network now.
Well, first of all, I think that, as Paul was mentioning, COVID brought us all more inward in a tough way. It was great to be able to obviously build remote teams and to the efficiency of being on Zoom and to be able to pitch to an investor and not fly out to a city or whatnot. There's a lot of benefits.
That was nice.
Save a lot of money on airfare. But you can be very much in a silo, and that's not great for creativity, for, especially if you're someone who, entrepreneurs anyway, are going to feel like they're the only ones feeling the way they feel. The only ones struggling the way they're struggling, because especially as a female entrepreneur, you're constantly pitching. You're constantly trying to feel like you got to be on the top of your game, right? You don't
Yeah.
oftentimes get to share the hard stuff because it's not always the most beneficial thing to do in that moment. So you can take that kind of pitching hat off, and just, be your authentic, very vulnerable self around other founders. And so, what I love about Cultivate Bend is it creates all of these really meaningful opportunities to connect and to share stories and to, say, oh my gosh, I've been there too, or I felt that too, and you're not the only one, and
Yeah.
it's hard, right? Or let me make this connection for you. I've gone that route, down that road. I've tried that. Let me save you some time, if right. So it's just all the ways in which we can help each other. I think there's such a beauty to what happens when you bring people face to face, right?
Yeah.
So just out of our Zoom screens and out of our, business to-do list, and kind of,
Yeah.
pop up and turn your head a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And see the view in front of you, and kind of dream a bit as well. Does that make sense?
That
Yeah.
does make sense.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think that, like you mentioned, a struggle that entrepreneurs in general have, but we're talking about like a sector, a specific subset of entrepreneurs that have yet even more challenges. Do you feel like you could name what some of those are and how you guys help to address those with Cultivate Bend?
Well, I think the entrepreneurs in this sector are driven by passion and purpose and a set of values. You were talking about
Okay.
earlier, Central Oregon or Bend. We want to be connected to nature. We care about what's happening with the environment. We care about the health of the community, of ourselves, our friends, our family. And so there's strong values alignment. Then there's also this sense of drive against a purpose of
Yeah.
changing the world for the better in some way. I've got one idea that's going to incrementally help, and to be driven by purpose, and get lost and go beyond the bounds of running a sustainable business. So that's one of the things that we're focused on at Cultivate Bend is you can't have optimal impact in changing the health and well-being of the planet and people's lives without scale and without having a sustainable business base or platform
Right.
planning. And so that, an entrepreneur, when they're starting out, they are wearing all the hats. They're doing the accounting, they're doing the sales, they're doing the product development, they're doing the marketing strategy, they're doing it all. It's just amazing that a brand even gets launched because you have one person taking on all those different disciplines that are highly specialized.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that. And what we're wanting to do is really provide direct access to resources locally, regionally, nationally, uploading, downloading, collaborating with other organizations throughout the country, resources throughout the country, to help better, set the stage for these brands to become more sustainable and have a business growth plan that is actually within reason.
Yeah.
I think if people get addicted to this idea of a unicorn, I'm going to be the unicorn. I know, nobody else has been able to do that. Personally, that gets me excited. Like, nobody's done that before. All right, I love it. Now we're talking. And you're going to ramp up like this. No, it's really about this. So that's one of the primary focuses is how can we help these entrepreneurs have really developed an innovative, wonderful product representing pretty broad spectrum, from everything from, I think dental care all the way to a really amazing sustainable food or that's better for you, better for the planet, that is a baby food product as an example. And helping to provide the access to the resources so that they can create and generate and develop a better platform for long-term success.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. So speaking of baby food, we even talk about Square Baby. It's very exciting. I'd love for you to share a little bit of what that's about, and if we can kind of work in the challenges you faced with Square Baby and how something like Cultivate Bend can help an entrepreneur like you.
Yeah, thank you. So, let's see. My babies are now almost 17 and 13 years old. So I've been passionate about this for a very, very long time. backgrounds as a registered dietitian. I started at Starbucks as the first nutritionist there, so that really like paved the way for, how a dietitian can help make changes in the food industry. And essentially became very fed up by what the baby food aisle had. I didn't have time to make my own. I was very overwhelmed with my whatever work schedule, as I think every parent's overwhelmed, whether you're working inside or outside of home or just trying to, you know, get the day to day done.
Passion coming through. Yeah.
See, 7-minute answers. But I basically left my very comfortable dream job because I couldn't put out the fire of that had started me with somebody has got to do better for parents and make this easier and make us not feel like we have to sacrifice, convenience for nutrition and quality and sustainability, all the things. So 2010 left Starbucks to set out and solve that. Fast forward many years. My co-founder and I met in the Bay Area. We spent about 18 months, getting the kind of business plan, kind of doing all of the kind of the work prior to starting the company. And then we started in a commercial kitchen. So I tell you the story because this is part of what, many founders feel in these early stages, which is to take a food product and go commercialize it, to go get it ready for a grocery store shelf. You might be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on packaging, on your minimum order quantities. If you're going to go to a co-manufacturer, they're like, what a great idea. That's cute. Okay. So we're going to need you to run 100,000 of these like from day one.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an option for us. So we made the first 100,000 meals by hand in a commercial kitchen. And then looking at what kind of manufacturing partners, co-man partners were available to us and what was also the best fit for the company, we were then looking at scaling from making 800 meals a day to 100,000 meals in a day, and what that took, because there was nothing in between. And so we were then, raising capital to go support that. You're really pushing in all your poker chips, even though we spent 3 years in that commercial kitchen, really proving out the model, knowing our customer, de-risking it, all of the things. It still was, $1.5 million to go from commercial kitchen to fully commercialized, nationally scaled, custom packaging, all the things to really do it right. So what I love about what we're doing with Cultivate Bend is that we're not just, thinking about how to create community and educational programs and ways for these one-on-one connections and introductions to happen, but we're really thinking about what are the bigger issues and problems that entrepreneurs are facing today in Central Oregon, and how do we help solve them? And I'm really proud of Paul for doing a lot of this incredible legwork. This is, again, why I love working with you, and because we're really dreaming a lot bigger for what the legacy of Cultivate Bend is, and truly like the change that we can create that will be very, very meaningful for decades to come, which is thinking about manufacturing solutions and all the potential partners that come into play. I'll kind of pause there because I feel like we'll get to that in a bit, but I think there are so many challenges, obviously, that an entrepreneur faces. But what I'm grateful for is that there are people like the Cultivate Bend board that are thinking about, how they can roll up their sleeves, volunteer their time, and create solutions.
The issues that an entrepreneur faces, there are already so many, but then you add in the fact that people are trying in this sphere to do it consciously and to make more healthy products for humans and for the world, like Paul said earlier. Tell us how that has played out with Square Baby, and how some of those issues could be addressed by a network like Cultivate.
Yeah. I think going through so many of these challenges several years ago as a very new company, we are 7 years old, but now I'm in a position where there's a lot of experiences that I've had that I feel that I can help others with. Some of the earlier stage, maybe they're in the concept stage, or they're just in the commercial kitchen for the first time, or in the early R&D phases. But one of the biggest challenges that we faced, Square Baby, was going from a commercial kitchen. So we made the first 100,000 meals by hand in a tiny little certified organic kitchen in Berkeley. This was 3 years of work. So we were making up to 800 meals a day, just kind of servicing our families and lugging in carrots and sweet potatoes and all the things, roasting, anyway. Lots of Laverne and Shirley happening. But what's interesting is that you get to a certain point, you've scaled your concept, I suppose, right? You've proven out that you have a customer, you understand your unit economics, you know what you have, you've de-risked the company as much as you can in a small environment without, just pushing all of your chips in or all of your investor dollars into these very, very early stage moments. But now you have to scale, we outgrew that commercial kitchen, right? We could
Yeah.
only really service about 100 families at a time there. So it was time for us to search for the next co-manufacturing partner. So who now is going to make the baby food after us? And that's what we've recognized is such an opportunity for many, many entrepreneurs, especially here in Central Oregon, which is, Paul, you've said it really well. Like you go from this preschool stage, right? The commercial kitchen, and then you're asked to go to graduate school, which is we went from making 800 meals a day to 100,000 meals in a day. So
Wow.
you think about all the cost of goods sold, all of the packaging. There's so many things I could ramble off about custom tooling, manufacturing parts, just incredible amounts of investment. It took us about $1.5 million to go from commercial kitchen to fully scaled
Wow.
and 1.5 years. This was during COVID, so it shouldn't have taken so long. But my point is, this is what entrepreneurs face is we were very lucky and very grateful that we could raise that funding from our investors to go from commercial kitchen to big manufacturing partner. But that's a huge roadblock for a lot of entrepreneurs that might be at a farmers market or have their first, maybe they have their first 50 or 100 doors of, retailers that they're in, and they're thinking about how do I go to the next level?
Yeah.
That could look like a really giant milestone that, is very, very, very challenging. So,
Sure.
what I'm grateful for is that Cultivate Bend has really, I think, evolved, is continuing to listen to our members. Thank you for taking all of our surveys. We survey a lot. But I think the importance is just really understanding that we evolve just like a startup. I always call Cultivate Ben, this is my second startup because I care about it like it's my own. It's blood, sweat, and tears like everything else, right? Because you're building something from the ground up, but you're also willing to pivot. And what I love about what we're doing now is really thinking about beyond networking events and educational events and the one-on-one connections and the things that brought me into Cultivate Bend. Now I love that we're also thinking about what's 2.0 look like and what are the major partnerships look like that we can really help solve some of these larger issues. And it's a giant goal, right? It's a big, hairy, audacious goals. But I love that we're willing to go for it. And I think this could be the legacy of Cultivate Bend, again, in addition to the networking and the educational pieces, but really helping to bridge some of the major roadblocks that entrepreneurs are facing.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are so many. Paul, I know that you and I, in our pre-interview before we actually booked this, we were talking about the plans that you have to try and launch an initiative of a sort of manufacturing facility in Central Oregon. Could you expand on that really quickly and tell us what that plan looks like?
Yeah, I think we were talking earlier about the best way to maximize impact, right? Improve the lives of people on the planet is to build your business on a sustainable platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
What some of the things that Katie's talking about is it may be market that is driving growth like that, but a lot of it is just the infrastructure. It's the industry that's behind making particularly food and beverage, but other products as well, where basically what we have here is we have a prep kitchen, which is going away. And that's a small commissary kitchen. That's the preschool. And then when you scale to manufacturing in order to have the proper food safety systems in place and the equipment in place, that's where you're forced to move to the next level, which is, hundreds of thousands of units or 50,000 cases. But what the best way to build a brand is really more taking on the tech mindset of test, learn, iterate. We should be looking at prototyping. But what happens instead is founders are saying, okay, we got to come up with the package that we're going to produce 100,000 of or 200,000 of.
Yeah.
And it's not ready for that kind of scale. So your packaging materials, for instance, will have the shelf life is determined by the volume you're producing and selling through to the market, and that may be just a total waste of money. It typically is. So the ability to test, learn, and iterate. There's more and more equipment and technology that's coming out for shorter runs, like digitally printed cans for beverage, other things. So what we're seeing is this huge gap here, and a lot of brands are just falling off. They can't make it because they're forced to grow too fast, too soon.
Yeah.
We have this massive gap that we need to have. We need to have incremental stages, just like Katie had said. We're going from preschool to graduate school.
Yeah.
We need to have this scaled system. So we're working with collaborating with federal, state, county, local agencies in developing a plan to provide for a co-packing facility plus an added-on module of incubation where we can find experts representing all the different sectors that support the development of CPG brands. That would be like everything from marketing, accounting, sales, investment interest.
Yeah.
And building a model that would allow for that appropriately staged growth in a brand. So providing equipment that can produce at a smaller scale for beverage and for food, and also support on the back end with finished goods and distribution, brokerage. But combining, this would be a tangible way of combining all of our resources and collaborating on a solution where we can support each other. It's one of the things that I love about the sector, if I can add to this, is that these are beautiful people who work in this sector. It's people who are values driven, purpose driven.
Yeah.
They care about each other. We have people like Katie is a wonderful example of not only a member, but also a board member, a leader within the Cultivate Bend community. But she's got full-time plus 1.5, 2x, a normal job type of commitment and a family to support, and is volunteering time to support her fellow entrepreneurs in this industry.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people that really makes this an amazing community.
Yeah.
And Katie's one example.
Yeah, beautiful.
People who care about community and care about things to the degree where they're willing to give that extra time and attention. So back to this, we're working, and it's going to be a long-term solve. But we've got the state director for rural development, which is a federal agency. We've got the governor's office is interested in paying attention to this. We've got the Business Advisory Council, Oregon Advisory Council, Business Oregon, EDCO, and it's going to take a lot of work. But the fact that we have the attention and the identification at the state level and the federal level, this is something we want to pay attention to and help fund.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about we could there's a lot of sectors that we could be focused on. We could be focused on technology. We could be focused on a lot of different sectors here. But what's really great about this sector is it just really aligns with the value systems of the people who live in Central Oregon.
Yeah.
And so it's about jobs creation, it's about economic development, and it's about building an economic ecosystem that is in line with the culture of Central Oregon.
Yeah.
Like one example for Square Baby is that when we were searching for, who the right partner would be to go from commercial kitchen to that, who's going to make the food now that it's not Kendall and I, which was really challenging because you not only, need to look obviously like food safety and quality, but just who's going to care about the product as much as we have. And, there was no option in Oregon for us to produce our food. But if we could get to a point where we're producing in Central Oregon, obviously that's what's very convenient for me. But also our sustainable organic farm that we get a majority of our produce for right now is truckloads of it are passing, right down I-5 and past us in that way. And so there is a lot of opportunity, economically to create jobs and to create a lot of synergy as well. I think thinking about these smaller brands and how we can come together and share resources. There are a lot of different fresh brands and frozen brands, and we're all figuring this out on our own, and if we can share those resources, share frozen shipping, share that storage, share organic, sweet potato that's coming right from Oregon. There's a lot of ways in which we can really thoughtfully grow our companies in a way that is much more efficient. So
Yeah.
it's all the kind of bigger picture stuff that gets me really excited.
Want to build on that a little bit because that's a great example, right? She can't even produce in the state of Oregon. But there's also other brands that graduate out of the state of Oregon because the large co-manufacturing producers are out of state elsewhere. So the state has real interest there. The other thing is that we're talking about, like at RIF, we had this certified carbon neutral energy drink made from an upcycled, traditionally wasted product of the coffee harvest. One of the biggest contributors to carbon footprint is just transportation throughout the supply chain.
Yeah.
So you have somebody, you're getting you're sourcing your organic fruits and vegetables from the state of Oregon. It's being shipped to Central California. The product is then being shipped from there.
Yeah.
There's one cracker brand in Colorado. They achieved carbon neutral certification primarily by reducing the supply chain.
Yeah.
And condensing it into a regional area. But we there's a lot of benefit, I think, not just for small brands that are graduating and scaling up or early stage, make sure that they're building a sustainable business plan, but also for brands that are graduating out because there's like in the beverage world, there's just very little co-packing options or alternatives for the beverage world. So they're having to go out of state pretty quickly.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So many things to think through. And I mean, I know that there are going to be so many people out there listening right now that just align with all of these factors, and I'm hoping that we can get them connected to you guys, because that's what this podcast, this show is all about, is about trying to, highlight the journey that these people are on, but also get them connected to people who can kind of help and understand what their journey's been like up to now. And it sounds like you guys just have that in your hearts to keep connecting with that and keep connecting with people that way. And that's brilliant.
On that point, it's a good one. We had a keynote speaker come and speak at an event. He's a luminary in the natural products CPG sector. And he said one of the number one things that founders and entrepreneurs in this sector suffer from is isolation and loneliness. That we think, Katie touched on that. We think we're the only ones experiencing these challenges and problems.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Yeah.
And community is, core to what Cultivate Bend is about. Actually, the organization belongs to the members. It's a membership organization, and everybody is a stakeholder.
Yeah.
And the board is a flat hierarchical structure. It's a very experimental.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of traditional entrepreneurs would say that doesn't work. And so that gets us excited as we say, yeah, we're going to prove it works. And that is there's nobody who's an autocrat here.
Yeah.
This is it's a pure democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And there's so many more areas where a structure like this should work and could work. And that I love the idea of this being a model for that.
We have, the board is mainly made up of people who are in a lot of support categories for the sector that are donating and dedicating their time for this.
Yeah.
And I think the passion really is around they can help make the world a better place just by supporting these entrepreneurs in this sector within our own community. But
yeah. What I love that I hear about it too is that you guys are able to preserve the mission or the vision, the heart behind what these people are doing. So, where people might fall off, where they couldn't scale up, like we're talking about, giving them the platform they need to actually have a sustainable business model in the purely business sense that can allow them to achieve their vision of a sustainable business in terms of
That's right.
the natural definition of the word. So, what are there some success stories or some really cool examples you guys can think of some times where you had, say, a member of the organization or the network that you were able to connect to, this scaling up sort of model? Does anything come to mind?
I have got some examples that make me really excited. One, the Cultivate Live, our flagpole event, that is in October each year. I love so much because it's not only half a day of connection and great keynote speakers and panels, but we throw a pitch slam. And being a founder who's done a whole lot of pitch slams, and will hop on any stage that will have me. That is the life of a founder. What's so fun is to be on the other side of that and helping to to coach those who've never created a pitch deck before, maybe it's their first time on a pitch stage like this. And it's an incredible opportunity to get that practice
Sure.
on maybe a smaller scale. It's still first of all, it's an incredible event. But also we go through this process with a lot of kind of nurturing. So there's pitch coaching sessions and feedback and practice, so they don't feel as though they're hopping on the stage for the first time, having no idea if what they're going to say is gonna land, or if anyone would have had feedback. So it's a very thorough process of supporting those founders. So we will have 5 pitching companies next week or whenever
Wow.
this. Yep. I'm very excited about that. But there are moments. There's probably so many examples. But there is a gentleman with a bar. Very early stage bar company, and in my previous life at Starbucks, on the working alongside the R&D team, I knew a gentleman that went over to Cliff Bar from Starbucks. So I was, very, very excited to be able to introduce him to the lead R&D at Cliff Bar, right? So it might not be someone who's local, and that's okay. But the idea being that we've all lived a lot of lives at this point, I feel like, right? And maybe there's
Yeah.
connections, in town or out of town that, but I think what's important is just that truly people are excited to give that time and make those connections. And I don't think anyone feels, well, I hope not, any reservations in asking. Like, that's kind of the whole point. Like, we are literally here for that. And
Right.
nothing brings me more joy than to make a connection if I can. So.
Yeah, I don't know if we have like, oh, this is an amazing success story. This brand exited for $10 million when they started out, because we're such a young organization. We don't really have that. But last year at Cultivate Live, the focus of the pitch slam was it was a retail buyer panel. We had somebody representing Albertsons. We had somebody representing Newport Market. We also had Market of Choice, and they gave real feedback to these pitchers on how it might fit, might not fit, asking questions. So making meaningful connections between these young brands and retail buyers.
Yeah.
And that has actually led to distribution and sales beyond the feedback that they're getting.
Yeah.
Another great example is we hosted an event in April of last year. It was a hybrid event, virtual and in person, with Gary Hirschberg. He's the founder of Stonyfield Farms. And if you haven't listened to How I Built This with Gary Hirschberg, it's one of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear.
Wow.
Not just as an entrepreneur, but somebody who's purpose driven.
Yeah.
So he was there appearing virtually. We had 3 brands provide a financial case study, and they got direct feedback from Gary Hirschberg, Elliot Began, who's also a luminary in the industry, somebody who represented an investment group, another private equity group, and another fund out of Portland. Were able to give them direct feedback on how to update and refine their plan, things they should be considering that they hadn't thought of before. So that's that direct resource, and not only that, but the audience is learning as well, because they may have a situation that's similar, but they're getting this is real world enterprise.
Yeah.
That they're getting feedback on.
Wow. So I want to talk about some of the stuff you guys are working on in terms of partnerships. I know that we've got some stuff going on with OSU Cascades and also the USDA Rural Development, right? Didn't that come up? So I want to hear about those. How are you guys working with those institutions?
Well, let's start off with USDA Rural Development. Jim Carmack is the state director for rural development for the USDA, which is an agency of USDA. And he was actually on the board of Cultivate Bend. He came to the he was kind of a new member. They moved to Central Oregon a couple of years ago, and he came to one of the events. He came to the Hirschberg event that I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and was really inspired. And then he ended up getting this position as being state director for rural development for the state of Oregon. And he resigned from Cultivate Bend because he knew there would be some conflicts of interest that would come into play.
Got it.
And so he had some really great exposure to the issues that we were talking about with co-manufacturing and the lack of the void of support for everything from early stage to growth stage brands.
Yeah.
And so he has been really this phenomenal champion of this cause, along with the Oregon Department of Agriculture. They're really focused on this as well. I mentioned the governor's office, and so that's turned into a meaningful partnership, largely because Jim Carmack, as the state director for rural development, is making these calls and saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you about partnering on this, solving this problem."
Yeah.
So you've got the support of a federal agency.
Wow.
That gets people's attention. They know this is for real.
Mm.
That's huge because we couldn't do that on our own without that the validation and the support, the endorsement, that the recognition that this is a real issue and could be of significant benefit to rural Oregon, which is primarily everything east of the Cascades, except for Bend.
Right.
So that's been great. The other is that we have worked to forge a partnership with Oregon State University Cascades, and luckily got connected to the right faculty members and staff. And the cool thing as far as timing and alignment there is that they were recently granted, they received a grant as part of a program that is being facilitated by Arizona State University, ASU. And that is an integration of the workforce into curricula with higher education.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they love the connection to Cultivate Bend. That we're going to be having OSU Cascade students coming to Cultivate Live. We've been speaking in classroom, and so they're just working on refining that program. We participated in a listening session. ASU was up in Bend just last week and participated in a listening session.
Cool.
To figure out how to construct this program to thinking, proactively and it with some innovation on what is the next stage of higher education and how can we better prepare students for success in the workplace or as entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's through the integration of the workplace into higher education.
Yeah.
So Cultivate Bend is going to be, I think, what we're making sure that is playing an important role as a partner with OSU Cascades and the staff there.
That's
I think it
fantastic.
truly, like, just even the word cultivate, right? It's not just about what's right in front of you, but it's thinking about that next generation and how do you inspire, connect, nurture, those early ideas and those early entrepreneurial dreams that might feel like, how do I go from that dream stage? So if we can create moments of connection and education, from the educational sector to, all these incredible businesses here and entrepreneurs that are here in Bend. For me, like as a mom, I have a 13-year-old who's an entrepreneur and a junior in high school who is going through an internship right now. So just seeing through both of those lenses, personally, I feel very fulfilled by being able to have the opportunity to work with younger individuals who are just in those early stages of thinking about getting a business degree or an entrepreneurship, chasing those dreams. So I'm really grateful, to be honest, that OSU Cascades has really opened their doors to us, and it's again just beyond what's this one event or this one talk that we can do, but instead of thinking about sort of a finite or like a project-based opportunity. We're really thinking about how do we build, become a part of their curriculum? How do we build something that's, repeatable, sustainable,
Mm.
where Cultivate Bend can be, a part of their learning journey.
Yeah.
So that's again why that's
Yeah,
that's what I get really excited about.
in true partnership. And Katie and I have both spent some time at like University of Oregon and Oregon State University, guest lecturing, working with the entrepreneur program. And it's nothing more fulfilling for me personally than to work with students. There's going to be some reciprocity. We've also, as an entrepreneur, worked with University of Oregon on a market research program, worked on a life cycle analysis, worked with Oregon State University on an environmental impact study
Wow.
with PhD students. So there's another benefit. It's totally about reciprocity, right? So we're going to help enhance the education with real world enterprise examples,
Yeah.
and they can do project work for these young companies that can't really afford to hire staff or pay for a firm or an advisory firm to be able to conduct these studies and perform the services. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really beautiful opportunity for early stage enterprises to integrate with higher ed.
Yeah. And I love that you guys pointed out the word cultivate and aiming that at the younger generation coming up, because so many people right now are struggling and just having a hard time. So the idea that they could not only find some kind of gainful employment or some sort of path for themselves, but also to know that they're contributing back to society, to the environment, and all of that. So what a beautiful thing. And the jobs that you guys are talking about creating with this manufacturing facility, all this stuff, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. So I hope that people really catch that, from this. I know I am. I want to shift gears into just what has you guys excited right now about what you're working on with Cultivate Bend. What is it like when we think about the future and about next steps and about where you guys are headed? What's got you most excited at the moment?
Katie?
Well, I think the two major things we talked about with OSU Cascades and working on the future of co-manufacturing, and that kind of support in Central Oregon. I know that those are really big initiatives, and it will take the culmination of a lot of people coming together. But what makes me really excited is the amount of people that have raised their hand and said, I can't wait till I want to help. I want to help.
Yeah.
So I feel very confident in our ability to be able to bring those people together and to kick that off. And then, on just the day to day, it's truly the connections. As cheesy as it is, there's nothing that makes me more grateful for than to be able to connect someone one-on-one, or to to find the right mentor for somebody, and to create these internship opportunities. There's so much out there, and it's really just finding how we connect those with those who need to learn, and those who are excited to teach or need the help, whatever it is. I just think that's kind of just what makes the world go around, right? It's all those human connections. And I think it truly is what makes Bend in Central Oregon so special, is just the absolute authenticity of people and their desire to help beyond, a requirement to do so, or it looks good on my resume, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That the tug, to do the right thing. It's really so many people who want to roll up their sleeves and take time out of their day to help others, because that's kind of the best thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I moved here in 1990.
That was a long
Ben
time
was,
ago.
thanks a lot. I was a baby. In many ways, I was. The population of the town was 18,000, and we were drawn here because it was real town, real people, and we wanted to raise our kids in a real town where there was not anonymity but accountability.
Yeah.
Across the community, and community has always been really super important for me, and I've led a lot of different enterprises, creative services, a branding agency. We did a lot of incredible work. Co-founder at Crux and Riff, and The one thing that has always been a continuous thread for me is community. And I realized that one of my strongest talents was recognizing the talents of others. And that's a great role for a business leader who's about celebrating the work that others are doing and recognizing the contribution and how their work is making a difference. So there's two things that I get excited about beyond everything that we've talked about here is that we have a very simple event that is held monthly. It's a happy hour held at Crux on the first Tuesday of every month from 5:30 to whatever it is. And it is so cool having conversations, real conversations with people in this sector.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that get together. There's non-alc beverages provided as or offered as well as alcohol, whatever it is. But it's really more just about the richness of the conversations that you have with people. You're meeting people. There's a woman from the library that comes to every one of these. She's in charge of research, and she could be a resource to small businesses in conducting business research.
Yeah.
She loves coming, and a wide sector of people representing this broader sector of natural products, CPG, are people who are supportive of it. So that's a really cool event. I really get excited about that every month. And the other thing that I get really excited about is I think we're challenging brands that are focused on developing sustainable products and services to base that on a sustainable business platform and to be, really smart that way. The biggest challenge for us is we're building something really great. Obviously, we're addressing something that is of need because of the response that we're getting. We had validation from day one in February of 2022 when we launched this. And so how do we ensure that we're building a sustainable organization is the challenge that we have.
Yeah.
And that does not rest on one or two or three people's shoulders. It really rests on the collective. And it's why we have the structure of the board as being a flat hierarchical system where we have leads in different areas. We have an event lead, we have a sponsorship lead, we have a membership lead. They are leading. They are not the chair. And it's really a model of servant leadership.
Yeah.
That we're leading, and the work that we're accountable to the board, we're accountable to the membership. We're not accountable to some authoritarian figure.
Right.
And it's shared. So it's not dependent on any one individual. And the way people have stepped up in the board and willing to take the risk of being a leader in that kind of system for the benefit of the broader community, for the benefit of others, and the life that we're all seeking to generate for ourselves here.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been amazing. And I feel like I caught the vision in a new way today. I see enormous potential for this. I'd love for you to just now let people know where they can connect with Cultivate Bend and with Square Baby, everything you guys are working on.
Yeah, so you can find us at cultivateben.com. I did want to give a quick little shout out to all the different types of events that we have. Paul mentioned the monthly happy hour. We also have a women in CPG monthly event that's been wildly popular, a great place for women to connect. And then all of these Ask the Experts. Anyway, so check out cultivateben.com to look at all the different events that are happening each month. And then, of course, on Instagram, it's a great way to connect as well. Paul?
Yes. Can I, subscribe to the newsletter.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to get proactive news. But yeah, Instagram is a great channel, LinkedIn, of course. And yeah, I think the website actually is really, really good and provides a lot of great information. And if you're interested in an event, you can sign up for an event via links on the website. That's a really great portal to become connected with Cultivate Bend.
Excellent. All right. Out there in the internet, you know what to do. Go get connected with these guys. Katie, Paul, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. It's really wonderful just to have the privilege of your time and attention, and yours too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for letting us share about Cultivate Bend and our crazy passion for it. It's a truly special group, and a lot of we're just really grateful for your time. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm grateful too.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
See you Tuesday.
Yeah.